Hi guys, welcome! There are various ways on how to build Fenrir for PvP. A pure damage type, a debuff focus type, or a balance type. And in this video we'll focus on the Freeze build, which balances the ability to proc freeze status on targets while still being able to deal substantial amount of wind element auto-attack damage. The Pouring Ice Cube's tail item from this month's Headwear Gacha allows Fenrir to freeze enemies and deal damage to them without breaking the frozen effect, and we'll discuss how to effectively utilize this tail item for PvP. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. First, for attribute point distribution, maximize luck to boost crit rate. You'll need at least 250 crit to be able to deal damage to most players, but if fighting against high tier supports, you may need to push your crit to at least 300. Higher luck also enhances the amount of HP recovered when the Lunar Eclipse anti-fatal skill is triggered. After that, just balance the remaining points on Int for increasing freeze attack, Dex for increasing range physical attack, and Vit for increasing survivability. Personally, I don't put any point on Agi since I can already achieve the 480% attack speed cap with just a weakening potion and Agi meal B buffs. I also don't focus on increasing Flee since most of the current meta DPS classes have high hit rate bonuses or have offensive skills that ignore Flee. As for damage modifiers, Fenrir relies on critical auto attacks and penetrating arrow to deal damage. Therefore, you need to invest in the following stats to further boost your damage output. For elemental damage, you will need to focus on increasing wind damage since Freeze converts the target's armor to water, thus doubling the wind damage they receive. Up next, let's take a look at Fenrir's runes. Maxing out the core passive skill to level 7 should be your topmost priority as it makes penetrating arrows inflict HP loss damage equal to 10% of the target's current HP. If you already activated the second line effect of all the runes, then you may aim for a high first line value on these 4 essential runes. First is a star rune for Twilight attack, which increases attack and casting range by up to 3 meters, allowing you to safely auto-attack and cast skills from a longer distance. Next is the S rune for Moon Shadow Barb, which grants hiding status and a 3-second movement speed boost after rolling. Since Fenrir has no innate skill nor Acer node that grants movement speed bonus, getting at least 30% value for this rune is essential for a smoother gameplay experience. Then we have the S rune for Moon Chain, which reduces its cooldown by up to 30%. And last is a star rune for Ice Prison, which reduces the skill damage bonus of enemies bound by magic chains by up to 80%, significantly weakening their firepower. As for the remaining 2 skill runes, they are not that useful for this build, so it's of lower priority to aim for a high first line value. For attribute runes, prioritize leveling up the following for improving damage. I recommend getting the Transmission rune for improving damage against all enemies outside a 6 meter radius from you, Bloody rune to boost penetrating arrows HP loss damage against players, and Disaster rune to increase your abnormal status attack and have a chance to dispel one of the target's buff upon freezing them. Up next, let's dive into the recommended equipment set and cards. First, for weapon, the Arrow of Frost Moon would be the best in slot as it gives a huge boost in crit rate, physical pen, and AA damage. Additionally, its tier 5 upgrade grants Moon Shadow Barb an extra charge count, which improves survivability. Your weapon should be enchanted with Arch 4 or Sharp 4 and inlaid with Stormy Night Star card for a chance to freeze enemies that can ignore their freeze immunity, and Marina card for increasing damage to frozen targets by 25%. For offhand, the choice will depend on your crit rate. If lacking crit rate, use Unyielding Warband's Legacy as main equipment and Vink Magic Bracelet as phantom equipment. But if you already achieved the target crit rate, then you may opt to just boost damage using Voice of Soulbone as main equipment and Helion Bracelet as phantom equipment. Your offhand should be enchanted with Armor Breaking 4 and inlaid with any of the following cards. For armor, the 3 options from main equipment are Blessing Liberation or Storm Defense for increasing crit damage, pen and damage to medium size, or other Shore Patrol for increasing wind element damage. As for the Phantom equipment slot, 2 best options are Tyrus Armor for boosting crit damage and PDI, or the Chosen's Gown for avoiding fear status. Your armor should be enchanted with Arch 4 or Sharp 4 and inlaid with any of the following cards. I don't recommend Chimera Star card for the Freeze build since poison status can break the frozen effect. For garment, you can either use Imperial Knight's Cape or War Manteau in the main equipment slot and Cloud Undershirt in the Phantom equipment slot. These garments improve your crit damage and AA damage. Your garment should be enchanted with high PDI and crit damage stat, and inlaid with Devil's Squid card to be able to attack while in stealth status. For footgear, the options for main equipment are Loon's Memorial for boosting physical attack and physical pen, Feather of Flight for boosting crit damage and physical pen, or Emperor of Seas for boosting ranged physical damage. While for phantom equipment, you can either use the Boar Bristle shoes or St. Mary's cloth shoes. Your footgear should be enchanted with high PDI and crit damage stat, and inlaid with the Moonlight Flower Star card for faster movement speed. For accessories, the choice will depend on your crit rate. If lacking crit rate, use Diamond Earring as main equipment and Fisher Beam as phantom equipment. But if you already achieved the target crit rate, then you may opt to just boost damage using Kiss of Gemini or Bridge of Pragma as main equipment, and Fading Tear, Dog Servant, or Cat Paw Stamp as phantom equipment. The accessories should be enchanted with high PDI and crit damage stat, and inlaid with Great Star card for increasing freeze attack, and Devil Governor card for increasing final damage to the target. For headwear, these are my top picks for each slot. Just choose depending on availability and the stat you're lacking. As for headwear enchantment, aim for Zeal 4th enchant on your head and mouth items, Sharp 4th enchant on your back item, and Arch 4th enchant on your tail item. For a headwear card, the Dark Siren MVP card would be the best in slot. Take note that you may also use GVG rental gears, God artifacts, and 6v6 team competition headwear for specific situations. Up next, here are the other upgrades that you can invest in to further boost your damage. For Acer Monument, activating all the nodes will grant the following stats. Notably, you'll get 20% crit damage, 10% physical pen, 9% physical attack, and 7% physical damage. For guild buffs, maxing out your blessings and prayers will grant additional raw physical attack, physical pen, damage to demi-humans, crit damage, wind damage, and AA true damage. For Oracle Mirror Extract, the top options for attack attributes are Combustible Knife for physical pen, Slash for AA damage, Abre Bow for damage to demi-humans, Heartbreaker for crit and crit damage, or Wind Axe for wind damage. While you may use any of the following for defense attributes. And for Ancient Relics, there are several possible options, so just choose depending on your playstyle and budget. Horn of the Watcher to attack hiding enemies, Lord of Vane for higher damage, Horn of the Unyielding for additional survivability, Crystallization Armor against Reflect users, or Year Necklace against Phantom Dancers. Finally, here are some tips for using Fenrir in PvP battles. Fenrir's role in PvP is a glass cannon DPS, meaning he is designed to deliver immense offensive power but at the cost of low health and minimal defensive stats. He primarily relies on Moon Shadow Barb for dodging attacks and healing himself, and on Lunar Eclipse passive to avoid fatal damage. First, for the skill setup, place these skills in the manual and auto skill bars. Once you're all set, use the following consumables which can help increase your damage. Make sure to equip Arrow of Wind to convert your attacks to wind element. Before attacking, cast first buff skills. After that, you can immobilize them first with Moonchain and then start auto-attacking. If you manage to freeze them, they'll be immobilized longer, allowing you to inflict more damage. If you're dealing with multiple targets, it will be better to CC them using Ice Prison, as it can chain up to 4 enemies in a large area. Auto-attacking a chained target will also hit all other chained enemies. Although Moon Shadow Barb can be used offensively, it's often more effective as a defensive tool in PvP to improve your positioning, restore your HP and SP, or gain a 1-second immunity from damage. So that's it for my Fenrir Freeze Build guide for PvP. Hopefully this video has given you valuable insight on how to effectively utilize the new Pouring Ice Cubes tail item in PvP and GVG. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any question or suggestion. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing by hitting the red subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.